When I first heard the name Rory McIlroy, 2007, met him in 2009.
I know that there's a lot of expectation on me, and I want to go out and try and live up to them.
2019, they played the Open Championship at Portrush. Everyone was following Rory intensely closely. And now, 6 years later, the Open's returning to Portrush. On this trip, I'm going to fly into Dublin. I'm going to meet my colleague Emma Devine in Hollywood. My thing as a reporter is always like, don't have any expectations. But I know I'd like to go back to the places I was in 2009. Rory's childhood home, his school, his golf course. Those are probably the major centers of his life as a kid. I hope Emma and I will meet interesting people along the way. But really just sort of get a sense of how the town has changed and how Rory has changed. In time, the modest golf club here, named for the town in which it sits ruggedly on the side of a hill, will become to Rory McIlroy what Latrobe Golf Club in western Pennsylvania is to Arnold Palmer. That is, a sort of living museum. In ways, it already is. On Monday, while McIlroy was preparing to play in the 153rd Open Championship, there was a modest trickle of visitors to the unassuming Holywood Golf Club. The folks want to see Rory McIlroy's replica trophies from his victories in the PGA Championship, the US Open, and the British Open. More than that, they want to see the club where Rory McIlroy grew from curly-haired prodigy to the sixth male player to win the modern career Grand Slam. We're still waiting for something from Augusta, said Paula Denver, a recent Lady Club captain of the club.
Do you know what you're going to get?
We don't know. We were hoping it would be, weren't sure if it's an actual replica. I think there was sign of a replica green jacket.
She practically had a heart attack on Masters Sunday, watching McIlroy win at Augusta in April on a Eat Your Fingers Sunday as she sat at the club's social hall.
And, just whenever it went to playoff, I was in tears. Oh my God. I can't believe he's putting us through this. That's ridiculous. And I said, but I was really confident. I don't know why, but just
we had not.
His whole body language, everything. I think it's his daughter. I think Poppy needs the credit. I think it's good for his mind and kept him focused.
If Hollywood was looking to increase its tourist traffic, it would have Lady Paula in charge of every tour and would give visitors a chance to put on her club coat as an aspirational thing. That's really the main point here. You don't need to have your launch monitor in a basement with a 100-foot ceiling to make it in professional golf. Arnold Palmer and Rory McIlroy made it to the game's highest altitudes under similar scrappy circumstances.
I'm very fortunate that I grew up here because it was so accessible and you didn't have to come from money or anything to play the game.
Elsewhere in the club, a member with white hair and white beard had just finished a round of golf with his wife, and he was recalling the last time he saw Rory in the flesh.
It might be 2 years ago, and I met him in a cafe in Hollywood.
Coincidentally?
Yeah, I was sitting beside him. Him and Harry Diamond were sitting, and they were deciding what to order. And I tapped him on the shoulder and said, "Rory, I recommend the poached egg and avocado." And he went, "Oh!" And you know what he said? "Oh, sir."
Stevenson was the principal and headmaster of a school a half mile from the course, Upper Sullivan, a tuition-free public school that requires an admissions test. It wasn't that Rory forgot Stevenson's name. Sir is the term of every student at Upper Sullivan uses for the male head of school.
I was still his old headmaster, his old
principal. Why, at school would he have called you sir?
Oh yeah, I mean it's traditional. I was sir, I was Mr. Stevenson.
Did you tell him that he could call you John?
I laughed, I just laughed. I said I should call you sir.
He and his dad once saw Jack Nicklaus in a parking lot, and Jerry called Nicklaus Jack.
Yeah.
But Rory called him Mr. Nicklaus.
Absolutely.
So he's got that in him.
Absolutely.
Jerry has always had more Irish in him, that casual quality. Rory plays for Ireland as an Olympian, but you could see him taking tea at Kensington Palace in a bespoke suit and all the rest. He did show his Irish at last year's Ryder Cup in Rome. That was fun. The legend of Rory has grown exponentially since his first Masters in 2009. I interviewed him a couple months before that in Southern California. I've been telling people for years how bright he is. Mr. Stevenson said on Monday what he said to me in 2009.
He was a smart guy who was achieving quite well in school, although I think pretty quickly it became clear that his focus was on the golf course rather than the classroom.
In the UK, young people start their careers in plumbing and professional golf and many other pursuits at a much younger age. Rory McIlroy was done with school before he turned 16.
I think that's actually his school green blazer. I found the memo that I wrote in 2004. I'll read you the last sentence. I think we can also look forward in anticipation to his future sporting success and recognise that we will have played some part in that. I began to remember a meeting I had with Jerry, where Jerry said, we want Rory to be out of school a lot. He said, I know what you're thinking. Well, what do you know? He says, you think we're pushy parents. Well, I probably did. But he said, no, it's all him. It's him. He also said, it's not just us who think he's a great golfer and going to be great. Nick Faldo thinks that. Michael Bannon thinks that. He named people in the game who said, this guy's good. And I thought, well, if they're getting behind him and they think we better do the same thing.
The golf course was busy on a windy, cool summer afternoon.
As for Holywood, I haven't played Holywood in, I'm going to say 15 years, maybe. Yeah.
You know, here you have a working man's club in Northern Ireland in a suburb of Belfast that anybody can join. So it couldn't be more different from Augusta National. Anybody can roll on up here and look at the Rory McIlroy trophies and get a tour, and everyone's very welcoming. So like on the face of it, you wouldn't think Augusta National and Holywood Golf Club have that much in common. But when you actually look at the golf course and you see how much swope and swale there is in the greens, and how some of this greenside chipping has really a lot of movement in it, and it's got short, tight, cropped grass. I remember Rory telling me this when he was 19, that he had a certain comfort level for Augusta National based on the kind of shots that he played at his home course, Holywood Golf Club outside of Belfast, and I can see it.
The Pro Shop has various nods to Rory McIlroy as the winner of the career Grand Slam. And don't even think about cleaning your clubs in the locker room, where this sign hangs. You could say that that sign hints at Rory's future success.
I think when you come here, you realize greatness can come from anywhere. And I feel sorry for these kids who are so programmed by their parents and maybe even by their own ambition, and particularly by what they see other people, particularly by what they see other kids doing. You have to have this t-shirt, you have to have this club head speed, you have to have this formula to get good. And when you look at Nicklaus, when you look at Tom Watson, when you look at Lee Trevino, when you look at Tiger Woods, when you look at Rory McIlroy, when you look at Ernie Els, when you look at BJ Singh, the list would go on forever, really. And that's just on the men's side. The women's side, you'd say the exact same thing. There really is no formula. No one could have ever predicted that out of this modest golf course would come one of the greatest golfers of all time.
But laddie boy McIlroy had another thing going for him, growing up in a modest house in Hollywood, with his house and his golf course and his parents so nearby. He had the opportunity to travel and compete and see the world as a kid, and he had big dreams. From the highest point of this 6,000-yard long course, you can see far and wide, and what you can't see, you can imagine. Royal County Down, an hour away, one of the most celebrated courses in the world, where McIlroy played in a Walker Cup shortly before turning pro. Royal Portrush, where the Open will unfold this week. Royal this and Royal that, all that aspiration. Now we wait on his every shot and his every pronouncement. Once, not that long ago, he was the kid looking down and looking up.